14. Reforming China's official selection and appointment system by learning from Singapore's model. To enhance the scientific, impartial, and efficient selection and appointment of officials in China, lessons can be drawn from Singapore's practices in evaluation systems, selection methods, anti-corruption efforts, and supervision mechanisms adapted to China's specific context. Below are detailed reform suggestions. 1. Optimizing the evaluation system. Current issues. Over-reliance on rigid metrics such as economic growth leads to problems like local debts and environmental pollution. Political loyalty and policy execution are emphasized, but dimensions like public welfare and service quality are neglected. Lessons from Singapore. Multidimensional evaluation include public service quality, social satisfaction, environmental protection, and integrity, such as effectiveness of public policies, for example, education, healthcare, housing, social welfare metrics, for example, living standards, social stability. Long-term assessment focus on sustainable development goals to avoid a short-term economic growth bias. Reform recommendations build a comprehensive evaluation system combining economic, social, and environmental indicators for balanced governance. Establish dynamic assessment mechanisms with periodic evaluations to adjust priorities and enhance flexibility in policy execution. Introduce public satisfaction measures through surveys and community feedback to increase transparency and public participation. 2. Introducing open selection and diversified appointments. Current issues. Selection is largely internal, with a lack of openness and diversity. Professionalization is limited. Lessons from Singapore. Open recruitment. Transparent selection processes attract top talent to civil service. Competitive salaries. High remuneration motivates talented individuals to pursue public administration careers. Professionalization. Prioritize selecting candidates with expertise in fields like economics, technology, and urban planning. Reform recommendations. Pilot open recruitment for specific roles, for example, urban planning. Environmental management to reduce the drawbacks of closed selection. Improve the civil service pay structure, linking it to performance to retain talent in public administration. Increase the proportion of technical experts in leadership roles to enhance policy formulation and execution. 3. Strengthening anti-corruption and independent supervision. Current issues. Despite progress, anti-corruption efforts primarily rely on internal party supervision, with weak external oversight. Lessons from Singapore. Independent anti-corruption body. The Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau (CPIB) operates independently, ensuring fairness and authority in anti-corruption efforts. Transparency. Publicly disclose officials' asset declarations to build trust in governance. Reform recommendations. Establish an independent anti-corruption agency modeled after the CPIB for transparent and accountable governance. Mandate regular asset declarations by senior officials and selectively disclose them to the public. Strengthen accountability mechanisms with zero tolerance for corruption, ensuring timely investigation and punishment. 4. Empowering local governance and encouraging innovation. Current issues. Limited autonomy for local officials leads to conservative policy execution and a lack of innovation. Lessons from Singapore. Flexible governance. Grant local authorities greater autonomy to tailor policies to local needs. Pilot reforms. Encourage experimentation at the grassroots level, scaling successful initiatives nationwide. Reform recommendations. Delegate management authority to local governments, enabling policy adaptation to specific circumstances. Establish incentives for grassroots innovation, rewarding officials for successful initiatives. Promote interregional learning and cooperation to share successful governance practices and avoid resource inefficiencies. 5. Enhancing transparency and public participation. Reform recommendations. Increase transparency in appointments by gradually publicizing selection processes through press releases and live broadcasts. Strengthen public involvement in policymaking and evaluations via hearings and online surveys. Implement feedback mechanisms to regularly inform citizens about governance outcomes and foster policy public interaction. By learning from Singapore's advanced practices in evaluation, selection, anti-corruption, and supervision, China can optimize its official selection and appointment system, tailored to its national context. Such reforms can help build a clean, efficient, and professional cadre of officials, providing strong support for the nation's long-term development. 15. Institutionalizing China's leadership selection process by drawing lessons from Singapore. To enhance credibility, transparency, and governance efficiency, China can institutionalize its leadership selection mechanisms by adopting and adapting Singapore's practices. Key recommendations include 1. Establishing a systematic talent selection mechanism, multi-level talent screening. Develop a tiered screening system from local to central levels encompassing governance, economy, and social sectors, ensuring a steady supply of excellent candidates. Create a leadership talent reserve pool, drawing from civil servants, entrepreneurs, and scholars with leadership potential. Professional evaluation system. Incorporate psychological tests, leadership assessments, and performance reviews into candidate evaluations. Engage third-party organizations, for example, think tanks or academic institutions for independent assessments to ensure credibility. Continuous development programs offer international training opportunities and study abroad programs inspired by Singapore's government scholarship system. Implement job rotation to develop cross-departmental expertise and a holistic governance perspective. 2. Institutionalize selection and supervision process. 3-step selection mechanism. Local nomination. Candidates are initially recommended by local party organizations or public endorsements. Expert review. An expert panel evaluates candidates' professional capabilities. Final decision. Central committees or governing bodies finalize appointments, balancing democracy and efficiency. Transparent selection criteria. Publicize core standards, such as political competence, professional expertise, and ethical integrity, ensuring openness. Use media platforms to broadcast key stages, like candidate interviews or policy presentations, for public oversight. Enhance supervision. Create independent oversight bodies to monitor fairness in selection processes. Include societal representatives and media for external scrutiny, increasing public trust. 3. Clear succession planning and transition mechanisms. Phased succession plans. Develop timelines with probation, trial, and official terms to allow adequate preparation for new leaders. Form advisory committees with experienced leaders to guide successors. Rotational leadership. Adopt collective leadership with defined responsibilities and rotational terms, nurturing multiple potential leaders. Team collaboration culture. Promote collective decision-making and consensus building, reducing over-concentration of power. Organize regular internal discussions for collaborative problem-solving. 4. Strengthening anti-corruption and professional ethics, integrity review system. Conduct stringent background checks on candidates during selection. Implement mandatory asset disclosure to prevent conflicts of interest. Role modeling culture. Leadership should exemplify ethical conduct, adhering to legal and moral standards. Enforce stricter anti-corruption laws similar to Singapore's Prevention of Corruption Act. 5. Pilot projects and gradual reforms. Pilot trials. Experiment with institutionalized leadership selection in select provinces or special economic zones. Refine processes based on pilot outcomes before national implementation. Gradual reforms. Follow a progressive, experimental, and scaled-up approach to ensure stability while embracing innovative governance concepts. 6. Expected outcomes. Enhance governance capacity. Rigorous selection and training ensure leaders are equipped to tackle complex challenges. Increased public trust. Transparent and fair selection mechanisms boost public confidence in leadership. Sustainable stability. Institutionalized succession planning fosters policy continuity and sustainable national development. By institutionalizing leadership selection mechanisms, China can retain political stability while advancing modern governance capabilities, propelling the nation toward higher stages of development.